Ooh, welcome everyone to the Daily Juice Podcast on the Betting Pros Network. I'm your host, Sean Stacking the Money Green. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean T. Green. And as always, the Daily Juice is being brought to you by BetMGM. Use the promo code JUICE and a $10 bet turns into $200 if either team scores a touchdown. Good for college and pros. All right, what do we make of this NFL Week 2? 2-3, not ideal. Obviously, I always want to be above 500. Down 2 units and a little juice. Down for the week, 4.7 something. I don't know. I gotta do the final number on the math, but not an ideal week. But I mean, man. It was a wild NFL Sunday. We saw historic comebacks left and right. So, some ways, hey, 2-3. Live to see another day. I got 2 picks for the Monday night game. Well, actually 4 picks. 2 on the side, 2 of my favorite player props, 1 for each game. So, hey, let's get through the recap. We'll get the losers out of the way. Seattle +9. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I got a little cute here. Fading Trey Lance. Of course, Trey Lance goes out. Would have loved to see how the game would have went with Trey Lance in there. And because I would not have faded Jimmy G. Jimmy G and that offense and that defense, they're good to go. So Kyle Shanahan maybe got fortunate there that he didn't like what he saw with Trey Lance early, kept Jimmy G around. And who knows? I think they're a better team with Jimmy G. But Seattle, you got to score points. I mean, Pete Carroll, are you kidding me? He had 4 running backs, no quarterback, and still managed to throw an interception. That play inside the 20, that really changed the game, and the muff punt. I mean, I got to get some muff punt luck. I feel like I've been on the opposite side of every muff punt so far in the NFL season. College, it was all like blocked field goals. Maybe I used up all my luck in that Steelers Week 1 game. Speaking of the Steelers, +2.5, I think I gave out, and +1 earlier in the week. Didn't quite get there. The offense is just really rough. I don't know if you saw the video of Snoop Dogg calling for them to fire their offensive coordinator. That must really suck if you're the offensive coordinator for the Steelers and Snoop Dogg is calling for your job. I don't know. Maybe the guy's a huge Snoop Dogg fan. You certainly don't want to see that, but the offense for the Steelers is looking rough. I mean, the defense looked great. It was just basically that one Nelson Aguilar bomb, and they were in the game the entire time. I still think they're kind of an underrated team, but we'll see how things go from here. Bengals -7. Again, probably got cute. My hatred of the Cowboys perhaps blinded me to some obvious home dog angles here and them getting up for that first game after the quarterback gets knocked out. But I don't know. I was told the Bengals offensive line was better. I can't wait to see that better offensive line because a lot of the same. Just Joe Burrow taking a ton of sacks. Finally got a little momentum going in the second half, but man, this Bengals team is certainly not the one we saw go on that epic Super Bowl run. So, I mean, Bengals are 0-2, and they've lost to Mitch Trubisky and Cooper Rush. 0-2, not a great way to start a potential playoff run. Getting to the winners, Texans +10. This was really never a sweat, maybe a little bit late, but whew. Broncos do not look good. Nathaniel Hackett continues to struggle, like play calling, timeouts, whether to punt, kick a field goal. He looks a little in over his head. And Jags +4. That was always easy money. Again, the Jags always win in Jacksonville against the Colts. And Colts, look out because they look pretty rough. Nick Foles on deck. I mean, if I'm Frank Reich, you have Matt Ryan, who's looked completely just horrible. There's no other word to describe it. Matt Ryan has looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Or you have Nick Foles, who did win you a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP. So that's got to be going through the back of his head. Hey, speaking of, didn't have a play on them, but the Detroit Lions got the win. First time in 24 games they were a favorite. They won and covered. And, hey, you can get a DeAndre Swift autographed jersey. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/bettingpros, subscribe, comment on this very video, and you will automatically be entered to win a autographed DeAndre Swift jersey courtesy of Pristine Auction. All right, enough messing around. Let's get to the picks. First Monday night game, Titans +10 at the Bills. Going 2 units on that. Get it over at BetMGM. Titans are always able to hang with the Bills, at least recently. Derrick Henry has scored 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games against Buffalo. And I do like this nugget. Week 2 underdogs that lost straight up as a favorite are 32, 20, and 2 ATS. So you're looking at like 62% coming into week 2. Like that nugget. I like Mike Vrabel as a dog. 18-6 against the spread as a dog of 3 or more. And honestly, I know they lost the game, but I thought the Titans' offensive line looked pretty good. I like some of the things their offense did, and I thought their defense played decent at home. I mean, they kicked that field goal. I feel like and they hit that field goal against the Giants. I feel like the storyline is pretty different. They created some turnovers as well. So I'm not completely out on the Titans, and I think 10 is a lot to give to a scrappy team with a bunch of veterans. And again, Vrabel as the head coach, I think he thrives in this role when everyone's counting him out. I think that is really where the Titans thrive. My favorite player prop for the Monday night game, give me Kyle Phillips over 29.5 receiving yards, minus 115 over on DraftKings. He's a rookie, but he's coming off a nice game, 9 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards. I definitely, take this from all the fantasy guys I listen to of the idea that, hey, if you're getting targets, it means you're earning targets. And the fact that they gave him 9 targets in his first game, that to me shows they trust this receiver. They're willing to target him a bunch early and often. 29.5 yards seems pretty low. I think they're going to – and Buffalo has a good defense. I think this could end up being not the prettiest game, but 29.5 feels really low for a guy that had 9 targets game 1. And again, I don't think targets come as an accident. So give me Kyle Phillips over 29.5 receiving yards. I think he's involved in a big part of the offense. Next up, bet number 3. Give me, heading over to the Eagles-Vikings game, give me Kenny Gainwell over 11.5 receiving yards, a minus 115. Get that over on DraftKings. First off, if you, again, I came up with this bet in conjunction with bettingpros.com/NFL props. They are projecting Kenny Gainwell to get 16.1 receiving yards, and they graded as a 4-star play. I really like it as well. I know they're high on him internally, Kenny Gainwell. They want to make him a part of the offense. He had 4 targets in that Lions game, only 12 receiving yards. I think he's going to get some design screens as well as being a nice check down option underneath there for Jalen Hurts. So I think he's, much like Kyle Phillips, it's a pretty low total. I think he's going to be involved in the game plan. He had 4 targets last game. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets 5 this game. I know they like what they've seen out of him. He was early on in the preseason, a little bit in the doghouse, but I think they were happy with what they saw out of him game 1. So I think they go back to him. And the over 11.5 receiving yards feels like a good play for Kenny Gainwell. Moving over to the game. Give me the Eagles. Did you think I was going to take the Vikings? Come on. -2. Get that over on DraftKings for 2 units. I mean, not only am I betting on the Eagles, I'm betting against Kirk Cousins in primetime. Oh, that's a square play. Well, you know what? Kirk Cousins has the worst Monday Night Football record of all time. Minimum 10 games played. He's 2-9. Love fading that. In primetime, he's 10-18. But again, Monday night is really where he stinks. He's only 2-9 there. Overall, he's not a great road quarterback, 24-36, so 12 games under 500 there. You look at the betting splits, like everyone saw what Justin Jefferson and the Vikings did, so they're all, everyone's like, oh yeah, no one can stop Justin Jefferson. They're going to destroy him. Eagles have 79% of the handle and only 33% of the bets, so that's a good sign that it's more of a sharp play than a square play. So that, again, I'm not a money split guy all the time, but every once in a while I like to go to it, especially if it helps my case. Let's be honest. Vikings, to me, they feel primed for a letdown game, right? Like, they beat the Packers. Like, if you talk to a Vikings fan and said, hey, if you're not going to make to the playoffs this season, what would you want to do? It would probably be to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home, right? They just did that. There is just, it's like, how are they not smelling themselves? You have a rookie head coach coming off a massive win at home. Now you're going to go on the road for Monday Night Football. I think that's a tough spot to get the team up, get them ready to go. And Vikings historically struggle in Philadelphia. Not only the 2017 NFC Championship game, go Birds, where Nick Foles and the Eagles destroyed them 38-7, but overall 5-12 against the spread. So Vikings not great when they travel there. And look at the Eagles team. game. I mean, now everyone was pretty negative on the Eagles. Oh, they only beat the Lions by 3. And I think the players heard that. Like the Eagles players seem pretty hungry to show like, hey, that wasn't our best effort. We can actually, we should play better. We can play better. And now looking at it in week 2, that Lions team really took it to the Commanders. So I think that week 1 win, which kind of feels like a loss to some Eagles fans or cynical Eagles media members, I think that's looking pretty good. And matchup-wise, I really like the Eagles' offensive line. I know they had some issues with Detroit's front last week, but they're going to come to play. And Jonathan Gannon, Eagles defensive coordinator, ton of pressure on him. I think he responds. I think we get a pass rush. The crowd noise will be an issue for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. All right, to recap the plays, give me Kenny Gainwell over 11.5 receiving yards, 1 unit on that. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles laying 2 units on that. Kyle Phillips over 29.5 receiving yards, 1 unit on that guy. And the Titans catching 10 points, 2 units against the Buffalo Bills. All right, guys. Hey, make sure you follow us on TikTok at Betting Pros. As always, BetMGM.com, promo code JUICE. Bet $10, get $200 if either team scores a touchdown. Seems easy enough. Follow me on Twitter at Sean T. Green. Check out my other show, Sports Gambling Podcasts. And guys, you know what to do. Subscribe, rate, and review. And don't forget to let it ride.